Hello everybody. In today's video, I am going to explain why historians slash history buffs, or like your history teacher, history buffs, people who are like really into history. It doesn't matter if it's like fictional history, worldwide history, any type of history. If there's a past, there's a past. It doesn't matter if it's the history of just the world in general, their continent, their country, their area, or their specific place where they live, you know? Like, it doesn't matter if it's human history, animal history, it's just history. Like, whatever happened in the past, they want to talk about it. They always like to talk about it. Like, it's their favorite hobby. Why are they associated with RC? Well, I'll give you the short version, and I can't really give you the long version because then this video would be about 75 hours long if I were to give you the full story. So, yeah, but I don't have all the details even if I were to give the full story because nobody fully knows why it's associated with historians. But it's well believed that when the company of RC Cola, um, when they were starting to become popular in Georgia at the time, the Peach State, as they were, being recognized. Like, they were kind of already like that for decades at that point, but they weren't, like, officially recognized as the Peach State, that kind of thing. Well, not yet, anyway. And at this time period, cola was becoming a new thing. And there was, like, dirty cola, as they called it, going on in Utah or whatever. But anyway, uh, this this drink was getting like really popular and everything, and it started blowing up, I guess you could say. And around a couple decades later, after a couple of historic wars, RC was still there. Yeah, there was Coke, there was Pepsi, there was this other stuff. I'm not saying that all historians are like this, but because of its history and its survival being just like a random company, and a few other older companies because of their history, people just kept going. Kept going and going and going and going and going. And so, because of it, it became really associated with masculinity and femininity. And because of its long history, it just got really associated with it, especially during the 1970s. Because way back when, in like Roman times or in ancient times, the idea in history times to have a historian was like a new idea or was like a thing to preserve your culture. Whereas during the 70s, it was on the rise to be a historian. Like, it was the brand new thing, kind of. Like, it was the way of living. And because it was becoming like the big thing to be a historian, RC just so happened to be in that category, and well, it got really associated with it ever since that time period. And then it got more and more and intertwined. That's why, like, they always talk about, like, oh, we've been here since, like, 1905 and everything, because they're very of history, because they know their demographic, kind of. Well, they're not as, like, super popular as, say, Coke or Pepsi or Sprite or something, or Sorry, as it's called. That used to be Sierra Mist, by the way. If you don't know what happened to Sierra Mist, all they did was they just relabeled. That was it. Well, anyway, yeah, RC, like, I like RC too. I'm kind of a history buff. Like, I can't lie, I like history, but I also like RC. But that doesn't necessarily mean every person who likes RC is really into history. It's just the main demographic. Like, for example, how, drinking white Monster Energy is associated with, like, big buff guys who work out, or, stuff like that. Or how this drink is associated with that drink. But yeah, it's just a little bit of history, if you will. with the irony in this. But yeah, that's just how it is. So if you're really into history, or if you're somebody who just really likes RC, or somebody who just so happened to click on this video or anything like that, or you're like interested in this kind of stuff, well, hey, if you want to comment, you can comment, but you don't have to. You can, but you don't have to. Well, anyway, I am out of here, and remember, stay ugly.